Okay, what is going on YouTube? So summer is fast approaching. We've got less than 10 weeks until June the 1st. Holidays are in the calendar, flights are booked, beer gardens are gonna be rife, and the World Cup is on this year as well. And what we definitely don't wanna happen this year is to be too afraid to be showing off the physique in the sun. You don't wanna be the guy cooking in jeans because he's too afraid to get his legs out. You wanna be in your shorts, you wanna be filling your tops out. You wanna be having to invest in a whole new wardrobe because you don't fit in any of your tops anymore. You may even wanna be the guy that's swinging his top around above his head like a hooligan when England score a last-minute winner. Of course, you know that the two most important things that come down to putting on any muscle are fundamentally your training and your nutrition. And it sucks when you feel like you're putting in work in the gym and in the kitchen, but you're not seeing any results from your effort. So if you've been struggling to put on any size despite putting hours into the gym, despite eating what seems like endless calories, then in this video, I'm gonna be breaking down the reasons why you may not be putting on any size despite what may feel like your best effort. And these are all things that I've learned over the last 9 years that helped me go from 70 kg wet through to 100 kg myself. So I'm gonna start with training because ultimately training is what provides us with the stimulus to add muscle tissue. You can't eat muscle onto you. Extra calories won't save you if your training isn't any good. So number one is not training heavy enough. Using lightweight for high reps and chasing the pump, it's not a waste of time, but it's gonna take you ages to get there if your whole program is built on it. If you really wanna put on some size, the home workouts just ain't cutting it. No one built the physique of their dreams in their bedroom. There's only so far that push-ups can take you. So you need to get a gym membership. And when you're in that gym, you need to make sure that you're using heavy enough weights relative to yourself. Yes, you can build muscle up to 30 odd reps, but strength and size are heavily correlated. However, the most important factor is intensity, and you need to make sure that you are getting within close proximity to failure for basically every set. You're gonna have a much more effective and efficient time if you're doing this with relatively heavier loads between, let's say, 5 and 12 reps. And then number two is training accurately enough. You need to make sure that you are being super intentional with every single set that you do when you're in the gym. This looks like nailing your setup and nailing your execution to drive as much tension into the target tissues as possible. It's important to understand the movement that you're trying to train, and it's even more important to ensure that you are keeping things standardized. When things start to get hard during a set, you are entering the hypertrophy zone and beginning to accumulate effective reps towards muscle growth. And this is the point where people lose their focus. They begin shifting their posture, they begin speeding up, they begin shortening their range of motion, and this is where it all goes wrong. When this happens, progress never gets made because the stimulus placed on the muscle never actually progresses. And the effective reps that are actually counting towards muscle growth just become a mess. In my coaching, I provide my clients with an exercise library that has cueing and rationales for each exercise so that when they go in the gym, they know exactly what they're doing and they know exactly how to be executing their training. I also provide them form analysis on any training clips they send me so that we can break down and give feedback on their technique, and shock, the ones who take this on and implement it are the ones who make the most progress with their strength and size. And number three for training is training consistently enough. How many times have you told yourself, right, I'm locking in and I'm getting in shape? And then you string a couple of weeks of training together, but then something comes up. You get a minor injury, or you have a long week at work, or you go on a bender at the weekend, and it just completely derails your progress. And then you're stuck back at square one again, a few more weeks and months to go by, and you're ready to repeat the cycle. And yeah, this sounds like a lot of people I know. I don't know if it's like to do with today's society, people don't have the concentration or the mental bandwidth to commit to something for a long period of time, or if it's just that people are unwilling or unable to do the hard thing and spend a consistent amount of time outside of their comfort zone. Muscle growth is a long and slow process, and you need to be able to commit to doing the same thing over and over again. You need to be doing the same exercises. You need to be eating the same food for weeks and months if you really want to see any change. People see very little change in a short time span, like 4 or 6 weeks, and then they're just ready to sack it off. But part of the process and part of the confidence and mental clarity that you gain from building muscle is in the delayed gratification of it. Putting in the work now and seeing the results later. Okay, so we've covered where a lot of people are going wrong with their training. Next, we'll cover where people are going wrong with their nutrition. You've probably heard the phrase eat big to get big, which is true to some extent, but I actually think that's a big thing that is putting a halt to a lot of guys' progress. The first main thing as to where people are going wrong with their food is sporadic eating. So we spoke about how if you want to be putting on any size, you need to be nailing your training. But the only way that you can be truly nailing your training is if you are eating properly to support it. So many guys struggle to put on any size because they have zero structure within their diet. They're eating whatever, whenever, they're skipping breakfast, they're eating big meals and then eating nothing for long periods of time after. Intentional intake of quality nutrients around your training is so important. You need to make sure that you're utilizing carbohydrates properly. If you're training in the morning, that's a meal consisting of complex carbs the night before and ideally some simple carbs pre-workout as well. If you're training in the day or in the evening, then that's a steady supply of carbohydrates throughout the day so that you're fueling your training properly. Your protein also wants to be consistent and spread out throughout the day so that your body always has the necessary nutrients to support muscle protein synthesis. And this is even more important post-workout, where you're ideally getting at least 30 grams of protein within 2 hours of training so that you can maximize recovery and keep performance up for extended periods of time. You also just need to be acting like a grown-up if you want to build muscle like one. Like, you need to be allocating time to meal prep. You need to be doing a food shop. You can't just be relying on meal deals if you actually want to build some size. So number 2 for things where people are going wrong with their diet is inconsistent caloric intake and a fast metabolism. Having a fast metabolism is the oldest excuse in the book. No one's metabolism is that fast that it can outrun their food diary. Yes, you may need a relatively higher amount of calories to maintain or gain weight, but that shouldn't be a problem if you structured your week properly to ensure that you can get them in. And yes, if you work an active job, then that caloric amount could be even higher. But basically, nobody cares but you. If you want to see the change that you say you want, then you have to be willing to commit and you have to do what's necessary to make it happen. Sporadic eating, like I spoke about in section 1, creates an inconsistent caloric intake. And if you're not seeing the scale rise over time, then you're working at net maintenance, and that's just not enough to support the gains that you want to see. We don't need a crazy surplus. We don't need to eat big to get big. But if you want to give yourself the best chance at gaining size, you need to make sure that you are meeting your needs or eating just above your needs by a couple of hundred calories. If you're serious about this, you need to make sure that you're consistently tracking your food and consistently tracking your body weight to make sure that the surplus is there. It literally takes like an extra 5 to 10 minutes in your day, and it just stops you guessing. And if you want your exact macros calculating that will help you gain muscle without getting over fat, comment macros below or DM me on Instagram at lennyd.pt and I'll get back to you with the exact macros that you need. And the third and final thing where people are going wrong with their diet when they're trying to gain muscle is the quality of their diet. If you want to build a manly physique, you can't be eating like a child. So many people have an over-reliance on terrible food sources. They rely on protein shakes, they rely on mass gainers, they rely on dirty foods just to get the calories in. Remember, the reason that we want a calorie surplus is to create the best possible environment for quality training, performance and muscle growth, and eating low quality calories doesn't support that. It can also just ruin your digestion, and if you haven't got the best appetite already, then you need to be protecting your digestion at all costs, because this is what allows you to utilize the excess of nutrients that you're providing to your body. The meal building framework that I use for my clients is super simple. We always select our protein source first. This is our most important macronutrient. Chicken, beef, fish, dairy, eggs, a quality whey protein, legumes, tofu. If you're struggling to meet your caloric needs, use fattier cuts of meat, so like chicken thigh or 20% beef or salmon. And your protein target is whatever your body weight is in kilograms, times that by 2. You need that in grams of protein per day. So if you currently weigh 70 kilograms, you're aiming at 140 grams a day. Do not miss on that one. Carb source is second. As I said, choosing a quality carb is super important. That could be rice, bread, pasta, oats, sweet potatoes. Again, if you are struggling to meet your caloric needs, you want to pick easily digestible sources. So more simple carbohydrates might be easier. So that'd be like rice or rice-based foods like cream of rice. You'll be using sourdough bread that also digests really easily. And if you're active, you're training regularly, and you're trying to get more calories in, don't be afraid to be using more sugary sources of carbs, so like cereals or sugary spreads like jam. The third thing to think about at every meal is including a nutrient source. A healthy body is a body that grows, so we need to be making sure that we're including some real good quality nutrients within the diet. Aim to include at least one source of fruit and veg at every meal. Fruit can be better if you find yourself struggling with appetite, as it's higher calorie, it's sweet, it's more palatable and easier to get down. But ultimately, you've just got to find what's best for you. You just need to make sure that you're including some good quality nutrients and fiber within the diet. And then finally, you want to pick your fat source. Fats are a super easy way to include more calories within the diet, as there's over double as many calories per gram in fat as there are of the other macronutrients. If you were trying to cut, you would want to be using your fat sparingly, but in a bulk setting, we want to take advantage of them because they're super low volume and, like I said, a super easy way to get your calories in. You do still, however, want to make sure that they are coming from quality sources. If you're just eating a ton of oil and a ton of grease, that's not going to support good quality training. You want to be adding stuff to your meals like olive oil or avocado, which also counts as one of your nutrient sources, like dark chocolate and peanut butter. You still don't want your fats to end up too high within the day. I generally cap it at like 100 grams because we still want to be utilizing as many carbohydrates as possible so as to support your training performance. And there you go. There's a real simple 4-step framework that you can use to build all your meals. You do that across 3 to 4 meals a day, and you've got a really good quality day of eating that is gonna support your training performance and is gonna support you putting on size. So that's it. The 6 things that I've outlined there are the biggest offenders that I see that stop people making progress with their physique. If any or multiple or all of them behaviors sound like something that you do, then maybe you need to be addressing this and you need to get a plan in place to make the changes that you want. But honestly, in most cases, having the information is not the issue here. The issue that most people have is applying it, having the structure in place, having the plan to execute, having the accountability to make sure that you are following through and doing the things that you know you need to do to get the results that you say you want. So what you need right now is not another tub of mass gainer, it's not creatine, it's have someone take all the information that I've just given you there and help you actually apply it to your life and then hold you accountable to it so that you stay on track with it and don't fall off again. And that's exactly what I do in my 7-day free coaching trial. That's 7 days of one-to-one coaching, completely free, the exact service that I give to my paid clients. In that 7 days, we'll identify where you're going wrong, we'll iron out the creases, and we'll get you a plan in place so that you can be putting on the size that you're absolutely capable of. I'll drop the link to apply in the description, but if you've got any further questions about it or you want clarification on anything I've gone through in this video, you can message me on Instagram at lennyd.pt and I'll be happy to help. Don't be the guy wearing jeans at the beach this year. You've got less than 10 weeks. Better act quick.